Hello, everyone. This is Andrew Berman with NMP TV, National Mortgage Professional Magazine. With us today, I am so excited to have joining us Christopher Gallo, who is a mega originator over at New Jersey Lenders. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
And what's extra special about today? Chris comes with his own music. He's got a trumpet and a trumpet and a piano playing in the
Trumpet and piano lessons going on right now as we speak. If this conversation gets boring, we can go over there. I promise you it'll be better than this.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I'm so excited actually that we had a chance to connect with you. I've enjoyed like our talks, kind of getting to know each other. I'm impressed by your numbers. I mean, so today we're going to go into your numbers. I want to talk about it because it's just mind blowing. We have Chris, who's a top 10 originator, major purchase originator. But we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about what it takes to become a mega producer. We're going to talk a little bit about his kind of his habits. And how the heck he has such a high social ratings when you look at his customer service. So we're going to talk about that. I got my good friend Katie Jensen over at Ambis helped me out with some of today's questions. So all right, Chris, let's start off with the numbers because I see what I see in the system here, but you got to tell me, like, what are those numbers like? I don't know if you had a chance to kind of pull those numbers because I know you said you don't focus on the numbers, but tell us, what does the last 12 months look like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, historically, I don't look at my numbers. I don't let it get in my head. I don't, do quarterly, numbers checks or where are we at this year, this month. I just want to keep the engine running, so to say. But I did for this call. Check just for you. Year to date, I think we're around 2,700 closed units, over $1 billion. Not sure exactly where, but over $1 billion. And then I think from a purchase perspective, as you had mentioned earlier, we're at a little over 900. And that's pretty much from January to today. Let's just call it.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So I mean, if you had to guess end of year, where do you think you'll be at end of year, knowing like what's in the pipeline and activity that you're doing?
I mean, high 2,800s as far as like total units closed, maybe 2,900. But I mean, the end of the year starting to taper off a little bit, but still very, very busy. Still a lot going on right now for this time of year. But I'd say 2,800-ish around that number, maybe 1.1 billion, 1.15 billion, something like that is where I think we'll wind up.
That's phenomenal. So, I mean, how many hours do you work a week to make that happen?
It's a tough question. Tough to answer, I guess. I mean, it varies based on volume and what's going on. But I mean, on average, I'm working 9 to 5 every single day. Well, Monday through Friday for that matter. And then I'm working on the weekends a little bit. I'm not going crazy, but I'll take calls on the weekends. I'll go through emails, 2 or 3 times through the weekend just to kind of accommodate the people looking to buy homes or who have questions about, offers they want to make, stuff like that. And I have a couple of people that kind of assist me throughout the weekend as well to kind of pick up the slack when I may be on the soccer field or lacrosse field or something with one of my children.
So you said 9 to 5, right?
Well, I don't know. That's what I like to say, right? So what's my day look like? How do I work, right? So I come in the...
Let's start from Chris's day. From when you wake up, take us actually, through a typical day of what your day's like, if you don't mind. So you wake up, you wipe the eye snot from your eyes.
Yeah. I do take a shower. We'll start there. I take a shower. Wake up around 6:30, something like that. I have 4 kids, so me and my wife divide and conquer. My one daughter goes to one school. My other 3 kids go to another school. So I take my one daughter to school. Take her to school, grab coffee on the way home. Come back home for a few minutes. I tend to go to the gym every day. Something, whether I run, lift weights, just something for an hour to just get ready, start my day. So I do that, and then I'm kind of in the office by 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, depending on the day. And then I'll work usually up until about 5:30, break loose, eat dinner with the kids, take them to sports, run them around, whatever's going on, do that. Some days are different. And then around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'll come back in front of the computer, go through emails till about 10:30, 11 o'clock some nights, just to catch up, just to kind of get ahead of the day, so I'm not coming into the next day still working on the prior day. That system's really worked well for me. I find the 2 hours I work at night, or just kind of sit in front of the computer and catch up on stuff, is probably the most productive 2 hours of my day. And I don't really know why, but I just imagine because the distractions are down, you can send emails back, you can kind of solve problems pretty quickly, and just kind of think. Because throughout the day, the phones are going off, the texts are going off, the emails are going off, and it's very difficult sometimes to really just sit and focus on something like this, for instance. Like right now, everything's off on my communication. No one can call me. There's no one getting through to the bat line doesn't work. There's no line. But at night, like I said, it's quieter. It's just easier to get ahead. So that 2 hours really helps me set myself up so that that day is closed. I finished everything that day. I answered all emails. I answered all calls. I answered all texts. So the next day is a brand new day, and I can kind of tackle it head on like I did the previous day.
Fantastic. No, are you friends with a lot of mega producers? Like, is it like, if you look at the people that you spend time with, and let's see, and obviously New Jersey lenders, you guys, you have something going on there because there's an unusual number of high producing originators there. But like outside of the people actually who you work with at New Jersey Lenders, do you have a group of other mega originators that you kind of talk to?
I don't. I actually, I don't tend to really communicate with the outside world. I guess I don't want to say that way. I don't get involved in too much of things like this. I'm not involved in, just I call it, I keep my blinders on. My blinders on. I do what I do. I know what I do. I know what works for me. And I tend to stay away from the static. But to tie into New Jersey Lenders, I mean, as you said, I mean, I get a good dose of it from New Jersey Lenders. There's a good group of people that I can connect with on my own, at my own company, that know what they're doing, and we can kind of brainstorm there. So I don't really have to look outside to get kind of good advice when it comes to maybe a problem, or just maybe taking it a step up or doing something different, because the guys that are working at NJ Lenders tend to, they're top notch. I mean, we're you got a good group here, and these guys know what they're doing. So I can kind of just, don't have to turn too far to figure things out.
Well, that's awesome, man. So like, what is there? I mean, because listen, we look at your numbers, you're doing phenomenal. You have a really optimized day. You're not like, listen, I've seen people actually that, I mean, not your kind of numbers, but, that produce a large number, and they're kind of their work balance life has been compromised, and they're not spending as much time with their family. Like, was that something? Was there a conscious decision at some point in your life to kind of put your foot down and say, this is what I'm going to do? Like, were you working 100 hours a week at some point, and then like pulled it back? Like, were you always like this and working this many hours and being this kind of productive?
Yeah, I guess so. I've always kind of been really dedicated to what I do when I get involved. I mean, even back when I first started, we used to, cold call, and I'd be one of the last guys there till 8 o'clock at night, cold calling, just because it was what I had to do. It was my job. I mean, it's what I had to do to kind of to be successful, to take it to the next step. So it's inside me. It's what I am. But I mean, I've never really worked. Yeah, I mean, listen, last year was a little bit of a crazy year as we transitioned into this kind of this crazy world we were in. And there were days where I worked till midnight or 1 o'clock. And it was just really just trying to get set. Well, once again, just trying to do what I do every day right now. But it was so much more. And it was so brand new, accelerating from 60 miles an hour to 150 miles an hour, and just trying to kind of stay focused. So last year, I would say that there was times that I could have maybe spent a little more time with my family. Or have a little bit more of a social life, let's call it, I guess, and go out a little bit more. But then again, last year, not many people were going out, so it worked in my advantage.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. So listen, and you, as you pointed out, you have 900 purchase transactions this year so far, which is phenomenal. I mean, it can't help a lot of originators who have been purchase focused originators, just they're doing so many refis. Like, do you have any kind of specific strategies that you could share? Because there's a lot of our audience are people actually who maybe lost their way when it comes to the purchase business, and they're looking to reignite that as we face this this refi cliff that we're going to be having, assuming actually that's going to happen next year. We're going to see a major loss of refi production. So
Sure.
Any tips for our audience on how to increase their purchase business? Like, how do you do it? How do you actually do 900 purchase transactions?
I mean, it's a mix of things, right? I mean, it's just not, there's not one secret arrow that I have in my stash that, I tend to take out. It's a combination of things. It's being supported by a great company with tools and product and support that allows you to kind of go out there confidently and be able to sell and be able to kind of do your job to the best of your ability. So knowing you have a strong support system, to me, allows me to go out very confidently and win business and talk to a realtor confidently and know that if something's a little tricky, know that maybe we can try it this way, or we can try it that way, or we've had this issue before and we did it this way, or we did it that way. So really what it comes down to is, once again, that backbone that we have at New Jersey Lenders, that I owe them a good part of my success to them. And then on top of it is just knowledge. Be knowledgeable in the environment you're in. So for instance, in New Jersey, majority of New Jersey is single family, multifamily, and condos. But in certain areas we tend to work in, like Hudson County, it's a lot of condos. So know your product, know your condos, know what you're getting into, know what you're doing, or if you're doing in multifamily, know the rules and know what you're up against, right? I mean, that, in my opinion, will allow you to go out there confidently and be able to say that can be done, and this is how it's going to be done. So, I mean, I think just, and in this business, I'm not saying you have to be a genius. I'm not saying you have to be someone with an MBA and a doctor. You know what I mean? You just have to understand the environment you're working in and be a master in it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you need something to differentiate yourself from, the thousands of other originators, and being actually an expert on the property type of that area seems like a great way actually to build rapport with real estate agents, because listen, the real estate agents know that you're awesome at doing condos in that area. They're going to say, give my guy Chris a call. He knows exactly how to deal with this issue when dealing with a condo board, or this thing actually where it's currently the condo's not approved. So that's awesome. So now we're like, and I know actually, so you've been at New Jersey Lender almost a decade now. But when you were at the previous company, was your production anything like this?
No, nowhere near this. Nowhere near this.
I mean, like 3 years ago, no one's production was anything like this.
Yeah, well, once again, in perspective, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously, over time, things have grown, but things grew much at a greater clip when I transitioned to NJ Lenders, and once again, for kind of a couple of reasons I had mentioned before, and it's just that the company's been around for 30 years. It's run by a good group of gentlemen that know exactly what they're doing. And on top of knowing what they're doing, it's also run by somebody who's on the street originating just like me day to day. And that, to me, I mean, how much more valuable can that be? Because someone helping make the rules and make the decisions of what needs to be done and how it needs to be done is on the street coming up against the same problems I'm coming up against. That, to me, I mean, that says a lot, and in my opinion has helped in a lot of situations just make decisions for the company that have worked favorable for the originator, because he's seeing it head on. So he's dealing with it. I'm dealing with it. All the other guys out there are dealing with it. But a lot of times these companies are ran by people that were originators, no longer are originating, or have a finance background, or somehow were pulled into the business through whether they were AEs for companies, whatever the case may be. And no offense to them either. They're all running great companies, but they're not dealing with that day to day that we deal with as an originator. And I think that is very important.
Yeah, listen, we're talking about Steve, and I think it is truly phenomenal, because not only actually is he still originating and one of the partners there, but he just never seems stressed. He's like so relaxed all the time. I don't understand actually how he could do that actually, because I mean, he has a lot of originators that are reporting to him. He's producing himself still, so I don't know. He's got some kind of magic sauce there. And whatever it is, it seems to be working really, really well. I mean, 27 units a year to date. As just in case if anyone's joining us late, Chris has 2,700 units year to date. 900 of them have been purchase transactions, and so. And what's really amazing is that you're not just like a machine putting these out actually with no actually control over this. So I was looking at the reviews and social survey. You're at 4.77. I mean, which if that is phenomenal. Google reviews, you have 265. You're at 4.9. Zillow, you're a 5.0 with 537. That's phenomenal. So like tell us, what would you say is the most important influences on customer satisfaction?
Sure. I mean, I think the customer's everything, right? I mean, there's a couple pieces of the business, right? You have realtors, you want to work your realtors, you want to work different referral sources, but at the end of the day, you're working them to get to the customer, and the customer is ultimately the one who you have to satisfy.
Yeah.
So, I've always been a big believer in customer service, taking care of the client. I mean, even in my earlier days prior to coming to NJ Lenders, I was, Steve will tell you this too. I micromanage everything. I mean, I was involved in every single thing that went on, and I still am involved in a lot of things that go on day to day. I talk to all my clients. I'm not a machine. You talk to me first if you're going to submit an app. So, for all intents and purposes, I've talked to 2,700 people this year if you've submitted an application with me. So it's not just a system where you're coming in, as someone from the internet. We're talking. I'm talking to everybody, and I think that's one of the reasons is because I'm involved. I'm going to take your call. I'm going to call you back. And it's just, once again, it's not difficult. It's not something that's secret. It's just the basics of customer service. Be available, be accessible, and be honest. Be upfront with people. And if you promise something and you do this and you do that, deliver on your promises. If you say you're going to do something, commit to this, commit to that, deliver on your promises. But I mean, customer service is, it's been around in every industry for decades. We all know what customer services is, and it's just being with the client, making the client happy. And as you can see through those reviews, there's a couple bad ones, right? I mean, I'm human. Things do happen. Yeah. We don't return every single phone call. Something comes up, something happens. And last year was a year that, a couple, things did fall through the cracks. But then again, as mentioned, I am also human. So I'll take that.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. You've got some superhuman qualities here. I mean, and I just doing the number really quick here. So you're talking to, if you just basically figure 5-day business weeks, you're talking to 10 borrowers a day, having 10 conversations a day. And, obviously sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes it's overflowing into the weekend. But that's phenomenal. It is unbelievable. So, but when and I started looking through some of the reviews, but I'm sure do you read the reviews? Like whenever a review comes in, do you like pay attention to it?
I do. Especially the reviews that are not perfect. And once again, I don't expect 5 stars across the board. 4.5, 4.0 is fine. Nothing's perfect, as I said. But the ones that are not great do bother me, and I'll reach out to a client and try to figure it out. Not I don't want anyone removing the review. It is what it is. That's what you wrote when you wrote it. But I will try to call people, and reach out to them if they were not happy with something or something just didn't go as they had planned. But I do read the reviews. And years ago, a few of them, maybe 4 or 5 of them, I was big on starting with Zillow. Let's go to Zillow, write the reviews, go to Zillow, write the reviews. And it's kind of transitioned into the Google and the social survey. But I mean, I think reviews are important. I mean, if you're a consumer and you're doing anything, you tend to read a review. If you're going to buy a TV, you're going to read the review. You're going to buy a new computer, you're going to read the review. You're just going to get an idea. So reviews are important. I mean, and once again, they're not controlled by me. You're going on the internet, you're filling it out yourself. And, if you're honest, you be honest. That's what it comes down to.
And you were talking about something that reminds me of like a philosophy that folks over at Social Survey that used to talk about. They say they love positive reviews, but they love the negative reviews even more because those are the learning opportunities. That's actually how organizations or practices that you have, find ways, actually find any weaknesses in their system and step it up. So now, if you consider it, actually, if you think about the reviews, like all the positive reviews that you've received, the most recent ones, what are the trends? What are the themes? Well, is it time? Is it speed? Is it cost? Is it communication? Like, if you had to pick one or two factors that are like the biggest ones that impact customer service, that make that person inspired to take the time out of the day, say, bam, 5 stars, and here's why Chris is so awesome.
I think communication. You're saying good, correct? We're talking
about
good,
yeah.
Community.
I looked at the bad ones. The bad ones actually are most of them are BS. They're not even real bad ones. And I know in many cases bad ones are usually people who got denied or didn't have a chance.
The context of the situation is there's more to it. But once again, you're as far as the good go. I mean, the communication is big. Speed is huge. The communication and speed are the two big ones. Obviously, fees, cost, stuff like that. That's another one too as well. But the two biggest ones are the communication and the speed. And that's what that's what we try to do. We try to get a combination of it all. The speed, being able to do something fast but not doing it efficient is not great. So we try to communicate and at the same time do something as quickly as we possibly can within the timeline we're given.
Fantastic. So what drives you? So obviously we know it's not the numbers, because you had to do a search to find out what your production was year to date. So give us an idea, what drives someone to go from being a good producer, and give us an idea. Your previous employer, what would be a typical year? How many loans were you doing a year there?
Let's see. I have one of these. I guess when I left, I think it was 276 units. Once again, this was in just 2012.
Yeah.
So the year I left, I'm only looking because I have a statue, one of these little things over here with it etched on it. So that's why I was able to kind of defer back to that. But so it's 200, a little less than 300 units then. That was at the previous employer, and not a bad company, but just not set up to become a bigger and better originator. Good shop. Yeah. Just not going to take you to the next level.
So, and what was the thing that said, hey, I want to do this? Where you actually saw either the opportunity or you knew you had the skill. What was the thing that set you off and said, all right, I need to grab the bull by the horns, and unless actually I'm a 4-digit producer, I'm not at the top of my game.
Well, I mean, I started the conversation off by saying I had 4 kids. We can start with that. No, I'm joking.
Oh, I get it.
No.
I have half the headache. So
yeah. No, I mean,
how many of them are? And boys, girls?
2 boys, 2 girls.
Okay, so we know actually traditionally that means we're paying for at least 2 weddings.
Well, yeah. That's expected, right?
Yep, that's what I know.
But I don't really think there's anything that kind of clicked and said I can do this. It just became. I look at the job as kind of, it's very systematic where, everything's kind of falling in place. But I also look at it as momentum driven. So the more momentum you can kind of fall into, the more you can push, the more you can do. It's a snowball. You start this big and you continue to roll it, it's going to become this big. But the second you stop rolling it, it's going to shrink down and shrivel to nothing. So the momentum of this business has always driven me, right? So if the momentum stops or starts to slow down, it kind of it's not good for me. It's not good for what I've kind of built out and what I've got going on. So to me, it's just always been that momentum, keeping the momentum going. Where even if it's a little quieter and, you get a call for a $90,000 loan and you don't want to take it because it's $90,000 or, whatever the case may be, it's going to take you so much time. It's going to be so much effort. And, maybe they're better off going somewhere else. No. Just take it. Keep the momentum going. Just keep it going. Keep the train running. Because to me, that always keeps you sharp. Whether, you're doing it, you're talking to people, you're still moving, even though it may be a little quieter than normal. But the momentum to me has always driven me to kind of continue to keep it going. So heading into the new year, seeing the momentum slowing a little bit is a little nerve wracking coming from where we are now versus where we're probably headed. But I mean, it's a little bit of some of it's out of your control. But what drives me is momentum. I don't even know if that's something that you can quantify and say, oh, he's driven by momentum. But in this business, ever since that's got moving, I don't want to stop it. I need it to continue to go. I need it to continue to forge forward.
Yeah. Listen, you're either growing or shrinking. And, it's the other thing is what level are you growing or what level are you shrinking? And you're used to actually this feverish pace. So like in any like perspective about next year, like, what do you think actually are going to be the big opportunities for you in next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I've been thinking more about that over the last kind of 30 days, 45 days as the year kind of closes out. As I'm sure any originator is going to estimate, I think it's going to be a very heavily driven purchase market. I mean, I think there'll still be some refi business just based on home prices going up, people having a little bit of equity and maybe wanting to tap into that equity or get rid of PMI. So I definitely think there's going to still be a lot of good opportunities to grab some refi business. Definitely not like this year or the year prior, but I feel there will still be that pool of people that are, if you want to get creative or you want to kind of, dive into your database a little bit, which we may have to do. We may have to go back to the basics and go into your database and say, you know what, let me call Mr. Jones. He hasn't spoken to him in a couple of years, and kind of do monthly callers or weekly callers. Just go back to the basics. We're probably gonna have to do that a little bit, and that's something we do. We do call our database. We will call our database, I think, in this upcoming year, but focusing on realtors, and I'm sure that's what everybody's going to say is focusing on realtors. I'm sure there's going to be lines out the door of all the real estate offices, but I've never been a cold walker. I'm not going to walk into a real estate office. I'm not going to bring you donuts. So if you're looking for that, there's probably another guy that'll do it for you, but that's not me. If you want a deal to get done, you could call me and we'll put our hard hats on and we'll make a deal happen. But I'm just not that guy who's going to walk in cold walk offices. But but I think back to your point is I think realtors obviously I think they're going to have a good year this upcoming year. I think there's still going to be a lot of buyers out there that weren't able to kind of get in when they wanted to, and with home prices settling down a little bit, I think there will be a lot of opportunity for some buyers to jump in and kind of finally buy the house they were looking for.
Yeah, and so you mentioned actually that how you're like one of the approach for someone to grow actually their purchase-based business is become an expert in that area, and they become someone actually who realtors would potentially be interested in doing business because they know condos in that area, and that's where the real estate agent. So you mentioned you don't do cold walk-ins. So what are you going to do? Like, so what is actually, I mean, obviously you have a ton of people already sending you business, but you're worried about the momentum. And so like, what are some of your activities looking like to try to make like next year? So we're going to do 2,800 loans this year, but at the end of the year, like how do we go to 3,000 next year? Or I mean, even just to maintain that level of production, it's going to take a lot of effort. So what are some of your daily activities that you're doing to bring that up?
I think one of the big things will be going through the database. I think after the last 2 years, we've established a very, very large group of clients, most of which we've closed, some of which we haven't. And I think that'll be a big part of, my daily, day to day is just kind of getting in touch with some older clients, reaching out to them, saying hello. I enjoy that. I've always enjoyed that. Last 2 years, we've not done that as much as we should have, or I have not done that as much as I should have because I haven't had the time. But that's something that, in the past, I was doing a lot of follow-ups. Hey, how are you? How are things going? Whatever the case may be, every 6 months, every year. I think that's something that I'm going to get back to, which I'll enjoy because, as I said, I enjoy being in the office. not really being outside the office. I enjoy kind of being at the command center so that if a problem arises, we can get on it right away. I'm not a big guy who likes to be on the road. And, like I said, I'll come take you to lunch a couple times, but I always said, we could go to lunch, we could talk, we could chat, I could bring you donuts, but you want your deals to close, right? Well, I need to be in the office to get your deal to close. I need to, and I don't really need to be, but once again, you need to be involved, right? And you can't answer emails. You can't get involved if you're sitting at a lunch talking to people and kind of, lollygagging about, things.
Yeah, rather than me bringing you donuts, I'll Uber Eat a dozen donuts over to you, and we'll have a 5-minute call so I can get back to closing your loans.
Exactly. It's very easy to send stuff. Exactly. If you want donuts, I can get them to you. It's not a big deal. I just may not be the one bringing them.
That's awesome. Chris, this has been great. I'm really, really appreciate you taking the time, as we're, kind of getting ready to kind of prepare for next year. And I know things are not slowing down, but I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for, giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. And everyone, thank you for joining us for another Mortgage Leadership Outlook, where we go live just about every Wednesday on 4 o'clock East Coast time, 1 o'clock on the Pacific. Make sure if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, give us a nice review. And if you're not listening to us on your podcast platform, check us out. We're everywhere. We're in Spotify, we're in Apple Podcasts. Just search Mortgage Leadership Outlook and you will find us. Everyone, have a great day. And we are going to be off next week for Thanksgiving. So have a great Thanksgiving and enjoy the time with your family. Over and out.